The manila envelope landed on my kitchen counter with a soft thud, but the sound might as well have been a thunderclap in my quiet suburban home. I recognized the handwriting immediately. My mother-in-law, Eleanor, always used that precise, almost calligraphic script that seemed to scream control and judgment. My name is Olivia Hartley, 38 years old, a single mother of twins Emma and Ethan, who are now 15 and the absolute center of my universe. For years, Eleanor has made it her personal mission to criticize every aspect of my parenting, my career, and essentially my entire existence. I've been a pediatric nurse for 15 years, working nights and weekends to provide the best possible life for my children after my husband, Eleanor's son, walked out when the twins were just 3. Mark has disappeared into the corporate world, sending sporadic child support checks and making even more sporadic appearances in our lives. But I've never let that define us. I've saved meticulously, creating a college fund for Emma and Ethan that is their ticket to whatever dreams they want to pursue. Each birthday, each holiday, I've squirreled away money. Every overtime shift has been another brick in their educational foundation. What Eleanor doesn't know is that I've been documenting her interference for years. The passive-aggressive comments, the subtle attempts to undermine my parenting, the constant comparisons to her perfect nieces and nephews. I've kept records of everything. When I opened the envelope, I knew immediately something was wrong. Bank documents, official-looking forms, a letter from the bank manager requesting a meeting about the children's college savings account. My hands trembled slightly, but not from fear, from a rising tide of anger that has been building for years. The letter detailed an investigation into the account triggered by a complaint from a family member, Eleanor, suggesting that I was financially irresponsible and potentially misusing the funds meant for my children's education. She didn't, I whispered to myself, though I knew exactly what she had done. Emma walked into the kitchen, her long hair pulled back in a ponytail, basketball practice bag slung over her shoulder. "Mom, you okay?" I took a deep breath. "Everything's fine, sweetie. Just some paperwork." But everything was not fine. Eleanor had crossed a line, and this time she had no idea what was coming. I pulled out my laptop and began organizing the files I've collected over the years. Text messages, email exchanges, recorded phone calls, all carefully documented and time-stamped. Evidence of Eleanor's continuous attempts to interfere in our lives. The bank's investigation was about to become her worst nightmare. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Sarah. "Coffee tomorrow? You look like you need to talk." I smiled. Sarah has been my rock through everything, my divorce, raising the twins, dealing with Eleanor's constant criticism. "Definitely," I texted back. "I have a plan." Little did Eleanor know, I've been preparing for this moment for years. She thought she was protecting her grandchildren's future. In reality, she was about to learn that you don't mess with a mother who has receipts. And I had more than just receipts. I had a meticulously crafted strategy that would expose every single one of her manipulative tactics. The college fund wasn't just money. It was my children's dreams, their potential, their future. And I would be damned if I let anyone, especially Eleanor, threaten that. As the evening settled around me, with Emma practicing basketball drills in the backyard and Ethan studying in his room, I felt a sense of calm determination. This wasn't just about defending our financial security. This was about finally standing up to years of subtle manipulation, about showing my children that we refused to be victims. Eleanor had no idea what was coming, and I was going to make sure she learned a lesson she would never forget. The coffee shop buzzed with morning energy, but Sarah and I sat in our usual corner, voices low and intense. She actually tried to freeze the kids' college fund. Sarah's eyes widened, her legal background already analyzing the situation. I slid the bank documents across the table. Not just tried, she fabricated a whole narrative about my financial instability. Sarah's fingers traced the paperwork, her expression hardening. This is more than just family drama. This could be considered financial harassment. What Eleanor didn't understand was that I had been preparing for this moment for years. As a pediatric nurse, I'd learned to be meticulous, to document everything. My shift reports were legendary at the hospital for their precision, and I applied that same level of detail to protecting my children. "I want to do this strategically," I explained. "I don't just want to stop her. I want her to understand the consequences of her actions." Sarah nodded, pulling out her legal pad. "We'll need a comprehensive approach, financial documentation, communication records, evidence of her pattern of interference. I pulled out a thick folder, years of carefully preserved communications. Text messages where Eleanor criticized my parenting, emails suggesting I was an unfit mother, voicemails filled with passive-aggressive comments. Remember when she told Ethan his science project wasn't good enough? I asked. I recorded that conversation. Sarah's eyebrows rose. You're serious about documentation? Survival mechanism, I replied dryly. Single motherhood teaches you to be prepared. Our plan began to take shape. We would not just defend against Eleanor's attack. We would counterattack with surgical precision. First, we gather comprehensive financial documentation. Every overtime shift, every careful investment, every sacrifice I made for the twins' future would be meticulously cataloged. Second, we'd involve the legal system. Sarah knew family law attorneys who specialize in complex familial conflicts. She doesn't just want to interfere, Sarah muttered, reviewing the documents. She wants to control. By noon, we had a multi-pronged strategy. Financial records would be compiled. Legal notices would be prepared. And most importantly, we would expose Eleanor's true motivations. What Eleanor didn't know was that I had been collecting more than just paper evidence. I had recordings, screenshots, and a comprehensive timeline of her manipulative behavior. My phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. Mom, can we talk about college visits soon? The timing was perfect. My children's dreams were exactly what I was fighting to protect. That evening, I sat the twins down. Emma, always perceptive, knew something was happening. Grandma's trying to mess with our college fund, I explained honestly. But we're going to handle this. Ethan looked worried. Can she do that? Absolutely not, I said firmly, and I'm going to prove it. The next few days became a carefully orchestrated operation. Bank statements were organized. Legal consultations were scheduled, and all the while, Eleanor had no idea what was coming. My mother-in-law believed she was protecting her grandchildren's future. In reality, she was about to learn a critical lesson about underestimating a determined mother. Sarah contacted a specialized family law attorney, Maria Rodriguez, who handled complex familial financial disputes. This isn't just about money, Maria explained during our strategy session. This is about control, about undermining your parental authority. The evidence was damning. Eleanor hadn't just attempted to interfere with the college fund. She had systematically tried to undermine my relationship with my children for years. We'll file a cease and desist, Maria advised, and we'll be prepared to take this further if necessary. As the strategy took shape, I felt something I hadn't experienced in years: complete control. Eleanor thought she was protecting her grandchildren. She had no idea she was about to face the most formidable opponent possible, a mother who would do anything to protect her children's future. The next move was crucial. We would not just defend, we would expose. Are you ready? Sarah asked, reviewing the final documents. I looked at the photos of Emma and Ethan, their dreams captured in snapshots of science fairs, basketball games, quiet study sessions. More than ready, I replied. Eleanor's carefully constructed facade was about to crumble, and I would be the one holding the wrecking ball. The family gathering was supposed to be a typical Sunday dinner at Eleanor's meticulously maintained suburban home, pristine white tablecloths, expensive china, and an atmosphere so carefully curated it felt more like a museum than a family space. I walked in with Emma and Ethan, my documentation neatly organized in a professional leather portfolio. Sarah's advice echoed in my mind. Stay calm. Let the evidence speak for itself. Eleanor's smile was brittle, her eyes already scanning the twins, looking for something to criticize. But today would be different. Before we eat, I said, my voice calm and clear, we need to discuss something important. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. My ex-husband, Mark, shifted uncomfortably. Eleanor's husband, Robert, looked confused. I pulled out the first document. These are comprehensive records of my financial management of the children's college fund. Eleanor's composure began to crack. I was just trying to protect. You were trying to control, I interrupted, and I have proof. The next hour was a systematic deconstruction of Eleanor's manipulations. Bank statements showing every careful investment, recordings of her attempts to undermine my parenting, text messages revealing her systematic effort to paint me as an unfit mother. You told Ethan his science project wasn't good enough. I played a recording. Ethan's face burned with remembered humiliation. Emma, typically quiet, spoke up. "Grandma, why would you do that?" The room went silent. Maria Rodriguez, the family law attorney, had prepared us for this moment. Each piece of evidence was carefully documented, time-stamped, and legally substantiated. "Your attempts to interfere with the Children's College Fund constitute financial harassment," Maria explained. "We have compiled a comprehensive file documenting your actions." Eleanor's defense crumbled. Mark, who had been silent, finally spoke. "Mom, what were you thinking?" The most devastating moment came when I presented the final document, a comprehensive report from a court-appointed financial expert validating my careful management of the twins' college fund. "Not only have I protected their future," I said, "but I've grown the fund beyond what was initially projected." Robert, Eleanor's husband, looked ashamed. "Eleanor, what have you done?" The legal consequences were clear. A cease and desist order would be filed. Eleanor would be prohibited from any further interference with the children's financial future. But this wasn't just about a legal victory. This was about reclaiming our family's narrative. "I always tried to protect this family," Eleanor stammered, her carefully maintained facade crumbling. "No," I replied firmly, "you've tried to control it." Emma reached out and squeezed my hand. Ethan stood a little taller. The most powerful moment wasn't the legal documentation or the exposed manipulations. It was the silent understanding between me and my children. We were stronger together, unbreakable. As we prepared to leave, Maria pulled me aside. "Be prepared. She might try to retaliate legally." "Let her try," I said quietly. The drive home was silent at first. Then Ethan spoke. "Mom, how did you keep all those records?" I smiled. "Always be prepared, sweetheart." Emma laughed. "Sounds like a mom thing to say." That night, as I helped them with homework, I realized this was about more than just a college fund. This was about teaching my children to stand up for themselves, to document the truth, to protect their dreams. Eleanor had tried to destroy our future. Instead, she had made us stronger. The college fund remained intact. My children's dreams were secure. And for the first time in years, I felt completely free. Some battles are won not with anger, but with preparation, patience, and unwavering love.